The Warsaw Uprising began on the 1st of August, 1944. 0 hour, or W hour as they called it, was supposed to be at 5 o'clock. But the first outbreak of shooting began earlier in the day at Żoliborz, the northern suburb of Warsaw. That encounter, which began at 1:30 p.m., was the first skirmish of the Warsaw Uprising. As the saying goes, much has been written. Was it a good idea? Was it launched at the right time? Were there other opportunities? You may well ask. The fact remains that it did take place, and the people who took part in it were brave and beautiful. In the annals of uprisings against tyrannical rule, the Warsaw Uprising is unsurpassed. For 63 days, the Poles waited for the Russians to come across the river from the east and aid them in their rebellion against the Nazis. This did not happen. History has told us why. The Russians were quite happy to watch the Poles be destroyed by the Germans, rather than for the Poles to be free after World War II. There is no doubt about this. This was Stalin's plan. The Warsaw Uprising is indelible on the memory of the 20th century. At the Warsaw Uprising Museum, this history is set in stark terms. You're able to take a close look at those 63 days of fighting for freedom. This is an experience that will not leave you untouched. It will change the way you think about history of this time. And it will remind you of what a great capital Warsaw actually is. The city that stood against one of the greatest tyrannies the world has ever seen and rose again to become a modern leading city in Europe. The next series of episodes will take you through the history of the Warsaw Uprising. Thanks for watching. Ola, this is a huge plane.
Yes, it's a one-to-one replica of American Liberator. Liberators were produced on a huge scale by Americans during World War II, and they were delivered on the basis of Lend-Lease agreement to the British forces. During the Warsaw Rising, such aircrafts, together with Halifaxes, would fly from the British air base in Brindisi, Italy, to Warsaw and back. They would make a 12-hour flight at night, very difficult, yes. Polish, British, Canadian, South African crews on board. When they reached Warsaw, they descended very, very low, and they flew at 100 feet to drop supplies. What was in those supplies? Weapons, ammunition, medical aid, food, everything we counted on so much, because Warsaw was encircled by Germans, and this was the only way to help Polish people who were inside the burning city.
So why did they take off? I mean, they were in Brindisi. That's because that's where Americans' closest base was during the invasion of Italy. So they hadn't yet broken through to a higher position. But what about landing on this
other side? On the
Why
other
couldn't
side,
they do that?
It was not possible, because Stalin said no.
Why would he do that to his allies?
Well, because...
I thought he was a nice guy.
No.
I think there's a lot of people alive today who think communists were pretty good people.
No, communists were not nice.
Not really.
And we knew a lot about the niceties, yes, before the war and after. Unfortunately, Stalin had his own plan. He wanted to occupy Poland. He wanted to impose communism on our territory. And that's what he did, indeed, after the end of World War II. Yes. That's why he would say no to any airborne missions during World War II, during the Warsaw Rising. He said yes.
Also, he didn't like him at any time, but particularly during the Rising.
Yeah. In fact, he said yes only once to to American mission called Frantic One, when 107 flying fortresses flew to Warsaw on September the 18th, and they dropped everything they had. But unfortunately, this mission was not that successful because only 20% of those airdrops were captured by Poles. 80% fell on the wrong side.
So we just moved the camera angle, as you'll notice, because we were blocking the stairway, and a lot of people, there's so many people here, we could not block a major junction for any longer. But at any rate, from this new perspective, let me ask you a new question. Why were the these liberators, this is not an original liberator, it's a replica, right?
Yeah.
But it's a scale replica.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
That's what we're These planes were flying from Brindisi in Italy. I mean, this is we said Spartacus before, that was the port he was trying to get to, so the pirates would take him away. So it's a long way away from Poland. So why are they flying, if they have allies in Russia, why are they flying all that way? Russia's a lot closer.
Russians were not that willing to help us, yes.
Oh,
of course.
So they're allies, but they're not willing to help.
Yeah, they were the allies of our allies, yes. And we need to remember that the Warsaw Rising starts because the Soviet army is just on the outskirts of Warsaw, about 20 miles from Warsaw. We heard the artillery, we heard the communiques through the radios. May 1 million inhabitants of Warsaw become 1 million soldiers. But the moment we started the rising, they stopped their offensive, and they admired the spectacle of Warsaw being under flames.
But they didn't stop being offensive. It's really offensive behavior of the worst kind. So they did not aid the rebellion, and
they did not allow Allied aircraft to touch down on the airfields that were already in control by them, yes, on the other side of the Vistula River, just a 20-minute flight from Warsaw, yeah. So this is crazy, but that's what happened, yes. That's why those British, Canadian, South African and Polish pilots had to go to and fro without landing, yes. That's why so many aircraft...
Which is a hideously long trip.
Got lost,
and they got lost, they ran out of gas, or they ran out of fuel. But the trip from Brindisi to Warsaw, I mean, these were brave men, because that is the longest flight of the war, actually. That's the longest continuous flight. Yes. So 500 and 500, right?
No, 1,000 one way. So about.
It's 1,000 miles one way. Wow. Because it's 1,000 miles from Warsaw to London. So this is like
1,000 miles to Brindisi.
From Brindisi to Warsaw, it's 1,000 miles. So it's a long way. And they're doing a 2,000-mile flight. No wonder they were running out of fuel. What an incredible testament to their bravery. And then what an incredible testament to Russian perfidy that they did not back up their allies.
Eventually,
after all we did for them.
Eventually, in September, Soviet side decided to drop weapons, ammunition, medical aid, but the problem was that they...
We didn't do it, by the way.
But the problem is that they dropped it all without parachutes.
The Russians put aid in, but they didn't have parachutes, so this
all got broken, was destroyed.
It's going to be smashed, right? How low can you fly?
They would drop from 20 meters in bags, in boxes.
Yeah, but they're moving fast. Too. So you got the speed of movement plus. I mean, you're going.
I'm always asking visitors, did they want to help us? Just an illusion of helping, yes. Propaganda reasons. We are helping Poles so much. But as you said, perfidious, yes.
But I'm glad you know that word. What does it mean?
perfidious, full of perfidy.
Oh, which means? What is perfidy? Because I said it, but I wasn't sure what it meant. Maybe you can help me.
Malicious
malicious.
behavior. Yes.
You mean bad?
Yes,
I think we mean bad.
Yeah.
Perfidy. No, perfidy is when they talk about really bad betrayal, isn't it? An evil betrayal, you know?
That's
a
it.
villainous kind of betrayal. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yes. Anyway, but that was the airplane.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll be back with more. Stay tuned, because we are doing continuous series of episodes about the Warsaw Uprising in this week, beginning of August, to memorialize or to remember what took place how many years ago? 74 years ago.
75, exactly.
75 years ago. 75th anniversary. Okay, stay with us. Me and Ola from the Warsaw Uprising Museum.